Many times leaders have a clear vision for what they want to accomplish, but they get stuck. Like somewhere in the process of trying to build what they see, they run into roadblocks. Like the team doesn't buy in week after week, nothing seems to move forward. And if you're feeling like this, I know how frustrating that can be. And today I'm going to give you 3 skills that you need to keep moving things forward. So let's dive in. Hey, I'm Harrison Wilder and welcome to Success Sundays with Harrison. Today we're talking about 3 skills that high-performing executives must have as part of their leadership strategy. I mean, without these skills in you or somewhere in your team, your progress is going to feel slow. It's going to feel painful, right? Hard, but I've got you covered today. But before we do that, let me know in the comments where you're listening from and what you do. Do you have a business? Are you an executive in a company somewhere? Like, what's your role? I'd love to just get to know you a little bit better. Here's the first skill. It's breaking down complexity. Now, this is something that I've discovered I'm kind of naturally gifted at, but like we've all worked on teams with leaders who have not cultivated this skill. And this is what it looks like. They keep saying what they want, and they keep saying it over and over and over, kind of like articulating that vision and expecting progress, but then nothing ever actually changes. So that can give you an idea like, if that's happening in your team right now, there could be that there's nobody breaking down the complexity of the vision into the simple steps like that people need to take to move forward. This is a critical skill that you need to have on your team. And if it's not going to be something that you need to do or that you're going to be able to do, then you need to find someone that you can bring alongside you that can help you do this. Because breaking down complexity it's a form of wisdom. It's how we apply knowledge from other areas to the vision, like to the dream that we're working on together right now. Like, what systems do we need to put in place? Who can do what? Like, what are the different roles that people need to be put into? And what is the sequence of the steps that need to happen? And the cool thing about this skill is that developing it is possible really simply by becoming a student of the world around you. You want to expose yourself to more systems. This is how you're going to develop this skill. Like systems that are even outside of your industry, they could be outside of business altogether. This is about understanding more of how the world works and then being able to apply those principles from one area to the area that you're working on. This is one of the reasons why Solomon was considered he was the wisest man in the world. And it says about him in 1 Kings 4 that he produced manuals. I'm just going to read this. Manuals on botany, describing every kind of plant, from the cedars of Lebanon, to other plants. He also produced manuals on biology, describing animals, birds, insects, and fish. And people from all the nations would come to hear Solomon's display of wisdom. They came from all the kings of the earth when they heard about his wisdom. And so this is how Solomon, one of the ways that he was able to help so many people is by breaking down complexity. And he did it by understanding how the world works around him. That's why in his Proverbs he could say, consider the way of the ants, or don't be like a slug. Or he understood the different systems of the world around him and was able to apply it to what he's doing. And this is a critical skill for leaders to be able to develop, is breaking down that complexity. So I want you to be thinking about, hey, if you're feeling stuck in your organization, if you're feeling like you're saying the vision and you're articulating what you want to people, but they're not able to make it move, consider about, hey, how can I break this down into steps for them? How can I help people see a system that they can follow to implement what it is that we want to get done? I'm going to break it down into the roles that people can play, and then help people move forward. And if it's a skill that you haven't cultivated very well in yourself yet, that's okay. Like, some people are more visionaries and they're not very focused on the strategy, and that's all right. But You can find someone on your team who is. Find someone who's got some strengths around strategy, who've got some, who are able, and somebody who's exposed themselves to a lot of different systems, and maybe who have seen how this is done in other businesses and can apply it to your organization. It's a valuable skill, and it's something that's going to be important to have as part of your team. That first one, which is breaking down complexity. The second one may sound a bit strange to you, but it's empathy. It's empathy. If you're speaking out a vision, you're trying to accomplish something in your team, and you're seeing that like the team members are kind of like resisting it or resisting you, it may be that we haven't developed the skill of empathy. And I never had this did not come naturally to me. Let's say it that way. I remember leading a team one time early on in my church years. And I think my job was to organize this large Easter egg hunt that we were having, and so I was thinking like, we're gonna do this great thing for the kids in the neighborhood, and we're gonna bring in all these volunteers, and they're gonna do it, and I discovered as we got like to about somewhere in the middle of planning this major event, that one of the team members just absolutely hated me. He despised me, and I was so confused. I did not understand what was going on. I thought that I was a great leader, and I started hearing through the grapevine that this guy was, thought that I was a terrible leader, and he wasn't the only one who thought so. And so I started getting this feedback, and I'm thinking, like, what is going on? Like, I have a really clear vision, what we're trying to accomplish here. I've broken it down like into the exact steps that everybody needs to take, and I've communicated to everybody in very clear way, like exactly what needs to be done. I thought I was a fantastic leader. I thought it all through. I knew exactly what everybody was supposed to do and had communicated it to them. But I realized that I had been lacking the skill of empathy, and that my team members didn't care. They didn't care what I wanted, what I saw for them. My perfect plan didn't matter a hill of beans to them. You've probably heard the old adage that they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And without empathy, I was getting nowhere with this team. And I didn't really start to realize this until I read Stephen Covey's book on the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. The first few habits that are in there are really kind of inward focused, like self-development type of stuff. And then the next 3 habits are really focused on how you engage with a team. And one of those habits, he calls it, seek first to understand and then to be understood. Seek first to understand and then to be understood. And I realized that I'd kind of been doing that all backwards. I was seeking to be understood. I was communicating my plan and just expecting that my team members were going to want to jump on board, that they were going to want to be a part of what I was doing. But they didn't. And they really, until I took the time to start understanding them, they really didn't care to understand me. So how do we start developing the skill of empathy? Maybe some of you are like me and you're like, yeah, why aren't these team members getting behind me? Like, why aren't they catching this? Like, why aren't they running with this? Well, it could be that we need to work on that skill of empathy. And here's an easy way to start, is just to start asking questions of your team members. Instead of spending so much time like communicating and expecting them to kind of ask questions if they need clarity, how about asking them some questions to get to know the desires of the people on your team, and questions around how they see themselves contributing. Now look, the reason why this was such a struggle for me and didn't come naturally is because I'm just not naturally a very sociable person. But I have learned one thing that has been really helpful for me to build trust with people quickly, and understanding and goodwill. And I'll pass that on to you now just in case it's helpful for any of you. That actually goes deep into our own sense of human identity. And this is why this works, because really, like when we, at our core identity, we humans, we're not like, our identity is not what we look like. It's not even what we do, like what our job is, or where we come from. All these things that we kind of normally like maybe talk about in small talk with people, they don't have much to do with who we are, right? You could change any one of those things and you would still be you, right? So and I'm getting to how this affects your empathy, but I want you to understand this concept that like, because what really forms your core identity of who you are is ultimately what the Creator says about you and what He has created you to become. And He leaves these little clues on the inside of you as to what that is, like what He's called you to do. What is your purpose? What are these dreams? He leaves these clues inside of you in the form of desires that He has allowed to develop inside of your heart. So I'm saying all this because if you really want to get to know somebody, and like you feel like you want to feel like you really know them, and you want them to feel like you really know them, ask them what they're dreaming about, right? Ask them what their desires are. Ask them what they are hoping for. Now, I found that the deepest relationships I have are with the people that I'm able to talk openly about my dreams and desires. And then when they share their dreams and desires with me, I have this sense that like, I really know them. I really know who you are. Right? And if you can be somebody who can listen and extract those from people on your team and even in your family, and then you don't judge those desires, right? And you actually care about them, well, then you'll find that like you're someone that people feel connected to. On the other hand, if you do judge those desires, or if you don't really seem to care about what it is that they want, then you'll find people saying things like, they just don't get me, right? Or they don't understand me. They don't really know me. Well, that's because you haven't taken the time to understand the desires and dreams that they have. But as soon as you can do that as a leader, man, that's the highest form of empathy that you can have, is to be able to ask and listen about the dreams and desires of people who are on your team. And then, if you can find alignment between what they share with you and the opportunities that you have inside of whatever dream or vision that you guys are pursuing together, then you're going to have their full buy-in, their full support, and you might even gain a friend as well, right? So empathy is an important skill. And so this is why I say that, like, hey, if you're communicating the vision, but it's getting stuck and you feel like your team members are not running with it, they may not be feeling understood. They may not be feeling like you really know and care about them. And so they don't care about the vision. They don't see how it's connected to their life, right? But with a little bit of empathy, with a little bit of listening and understanding, especially around their dreams and desires, you can build a community that's really close and a team that really knows how to push through some things together and build that vision out. So that's the second skill that's going to be important. The third skill, this is kind of cool to talk about it. Let's just call it opportunity aware. As an executive leader, you've got to be someone who is like, whose eyes are open and aware of the opportunities around you. Because what I've seen, and look, I'm the most guilty of this of anybody. Once I get a plan together, right? Once I know the vision I want to go for, and I write it down in a strategic plan. Once I get there, man, I've got my nose down. I'm not going to be distracted. Like, you're going to have a really difficult time to get me to lift up my head and see anything that's going on that's not on my plan. But the reality is that opportunities are going to present themselves, like shortcuts, relationships, offers that you can buy, things that you can pursue that will actually save you a lot of time and effort and teleport you closer to your vision faster than you ever could have imagined. And if you're a believer like I am, then you know that, like, hey, if God had put a vision in your heart, then He's probably already got resources and opportunities available on your path that are going to move you towards that. And if all you're doing is like looking at your plan, you're going to miss those opportunities. You've got to be opportunity aware if you're going to be a great strategic leader that can take advantage of these things. One of the stories I read, I don't even remember what book I read this from, but it was like the book was full of fables from ancient Persia. And so in one of the stories, one of the fables was about a was about a businessman who had traveled from one little city to another city. And of course, he was walking. These are ancient Persian times. So he's walking from one city to another. And what would happen in these cities is that at night, they would wall them off, right? The gates would close. Nobody's allowed in or out. It's the kind of defensive measures that they would take. So that every night, once the sun went down, they closed them up. They closed these cities up. And so if you were traveling from one city to another and you didn't get there before the sun came down, well, you're going to be trapped outside the city and, kind of have to camp out outside, which probably was not that uncommon. But this businessman, that had happened to him. He was going from one city to another. And when he gets to the other city, he was too late. And so he shut outside of the city for the night. So he starts to set up camp when all of a sudden another man shows up. And this man has like 100 sheep with him that he had brought to this city with the intention of selling the sheep when the markets opened the following morning. So the gates were going to open back up, and in the morning, he was going to sell his sheep. And so here's this businessman making camp, and he's talking to the guy who's got the 100 sheep with him. When all of a sudden, another man comes running up to the man with 100 sheep, and he had been sent as a runner from the city where that man had come from with his sheep. And they called that man and said, "Hey, you have an emergency back at home with your family, and you need to get back right now." And so the man with 100 sheep has got to respond to this emergency. And so he's going to have to leave. And there's no way that he can get back in time with all of his sheep. And so he looks at the businessman and says, "Hey, I tell you what, tomorrow morning, I was going to sell these sheep for $100 a head," or whatever they used for currency back then. But let's just say $100 per sheep. I was going to sell them at the market tomorrow. I've done this 100 times. Like, this is so easy. You sell it for $100, but I've got to leave. And so I tell you what, I'll just sell them all to you right now for $50 a sheep. And then you can sell them tomorrow morning when the gates open up and keep the difference. So, the businessman, of course, is like, wow, what an incredible opportunity. But how many of us, faced with the same scenario, have trained ourselves to kind of be skeptical of these things, right? To kind of be like, no, that sounds too good to be true. Or no, there's no way, what if all the sheep die overnight? Like, what if? And we didn't, that's not why we came there to that city. That's not why that businessman came. He wasn't looking for that opportunity. But opportunities come up and you don't know when they're going to come up is the point. And there are opportunities that are going to come up in your life. And some of them are going to be connected to your vision. Some of them are going to be connected to the dream that you have for your department, for your business, for your family, for yourself. And if you're not walking around with your head up looking for those opportunities, then you're going to miss them. In fact, this fable makes the point of saying that, these opportunities come to everybody. Everybody gets opportunities, but not everybody is opportunity aware. And that's both, to be opportunity aware, you've got to be vision aware, right? You've got to know, like in this case, he's a businessman. He knows he wants to make money. So when he sees the opportunity in front of him and he acts on it. And so we got to be people who know how to respond to these situations, who know how to see them when they show up. And then also who have specifically, intentionally created bandwidth in their life to be able to respond to opportunities, right? So if you're running around and your whole schedule is scheduled out in 15-minute increments and you're not able or willing to make any adjustments to your schedule, then you'll walk right by an opportunity and you won't even let yourself notice it. Or if you have completely maxed out your budget for your business and taken all available cash and allocated it towards your known opportunities that you have right now, well, when a new opportunity comes up, you're standing outside the city gate and you have an opportunity to make 100% return on your investment in less than 24 hours. You're not going to be able to take that opportunity because you don't have any cash, because you don't have any credit. You don't have access to be able to take advantage of that opportunity. So as executive leaders, we've got to develop the skill of being opportunity aware and cultivating the ability to respond to these opportunities when they come up. And it's not only with money and business opportunities, but this happens with people as well, like with people on your team. One time when I was a executive pastor at a church, I remember I was walking by one of the offices, and one of the team members was crying in their office, and I was, me not being extremely sociable or leading with a lot of empathy, I'm thinking to myself like, that sounds like a long conversation, like to stop over here and attend to somebody who's crying, and I'm thinking to myself like, well, I have a meeting scheduled this person next Tuesday. Maybe I could just ask them what's going on next Tuesday. But I fortunately, before this came up, I had read again, this is coming out of Stephen Covey's book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And he said that you cannot manage people. You can manage tasks. Like, you can put your tasks in order and you can decide what order you're going to do them on, but you cannot manage people. The opportunities to develop people and work with people and to grow closer with people on your team and to send them messages that you care and things like that, they come when they come. You can't control that. You can't manage when those opportunities are going to happen. You can't schedule them into a weekly one-on-one meeting. This person was crying in their office, and now was the opportunity to be able to respond to that and to ask questions and to communicate in an empathetic way and to draw closer with somebody on my team and to really understand them and what they're going through. It wouldn't have been the same next Tuesday to ask about that, right? So I remember I took some minutes to sit down and have a conversation. I had to be late to another meeting, but I'd learned that you have to take advantage of opportunities. You have to be opportunity aware. Now, if you were just to think about it in a productivity and team morale standpoint, by taking the time to stop in the office of somebody who's crying and to address that right then, and to talk it through, how much more productivity and morale do you think that provides in your office than by skipping those opportunities, not addressing it, not talking to people when they're hurting, and then trying to accomplish it in like a staff meeting, right? You can see that that's not going to work because you can't manage people. You've got to be opportunity aware. And so I would encourage you to schedule time, schedule your calendar in such a way that you're able to walk around and be aware of what's going on with your team. Maybe if someone has a new idea that they're excited about it, and you can kind of get behind that and help champion that cause, or maybe somebody's going through something and you can take a moment to be with them and to help them. But let's be people who are opportunity aware, both of opportunities with a team of people on our team, but opportunities that are going to present themselves in our business to move forward. So, hey, never like to end the episode without presenting the success challenge of the week. So today's success challenge is just to get to know your team better. Find some time this week to ask them about their desires, ask them about their dreams, and start looking for opportunities to let your team members operate in their strengths, to maybe open up opportunities or roles or things that they can do that are going to help them advance towards the things that are in their heart, those desires that they already have. So that's your success challenge for this week. Good luck. Have fun with that. And listen, if you have any questions for me that I might be able to help you with on a future episode, post them down in the comments or in the chat, wherever you're watching. We love to hear from you, and we want to create content that's super helpful for you and relevant for what you're facing right now in your business. So put them down in the comments, and then my team will tee up those ideas for future episodes. But until then, have a great week, and I'll see you in the next episode. Hey, thanks so much for watching my videos. If you like what you hear, you can subscribe below. And then please, if you have any questions that I can help you with, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I'll do everything I can to work them into some future videos that we're working on. But thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. And I look forward to helping you and to helping you bring your business and your leadership up to that next level. So I'll see you in the next video.